All right, so back at it again. What we are going to work on, starting with lesson 4 with radical expressions, is we're going to look at example 1 where it says simplifying square roots. And the example's in the book, and I'm going to quickly go through the example and maybe show a few of the rationale points so you understand why they're doing what they're doing. So if we start with the square root of 80, we know that there isn't a perfect square that works with this. So what you're going to want to do with the square root of 80 is we can write the number under the radical any way we want, as long as the product of it equals 80. And you have to write it as a product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this using its prime factorization. Okay, and if you guys don't remember that, it's getting everything down to its prime numbers. So if you have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's 16, right? Times 5, which is 80. Okay, now what's great about writing it this way is I see that I can make a couple perfect squares out of this. All right, if I take 2 times 2, that's going to give me 4. And if I take 2 times 2, that's going to give me 4. And then 5 is just kind of left by itself. So the way you can write this then, and you won't have to do this when you're doing it, is like this. Is you've got 2 squared under its own radical times 2 squared under its own radical times the square root of 5, which we know we can't simplify. So next step is, well, the square root of 2 squared is 2. The square root of this 2 squared is going to be the same, which is 2. And then you're going to multiply that by the square root of 5, which is going to stay under there. And then you just do 2 times 2, which gives you 4 times the square root of 5. And I apologize about it being a little awkward looking at this, but like I said, it's the growth curve here, and we're all going to get better at this. So 4 times the square root of 5 is our simplified form of it. And yeah, so that's how it works. You can break this up as a product. So let's take a look at 2 really quick examples, and I want you guys to do these with me. So for our first example, let's do the square root of 54. So what I want you to do is I want you to write this down, pause the video, and then come back. All right, so having tried this problem now, let's see if you did it right. So square root of 54 I can write as a product of 9 and 6. And that's how I'm going to write it. And the reason I chose 9 and 6 is because 9 is 3 squared. And then 6 is just by itself. Square root of 3 squared is 3 times the square root of 6. And that is what you get. All right, let's try one more. Okay, let's try the square root of 180. So pause the video, write this down, and try the problem yourself, and then come back on and check it when you're finished. All right, so going back to what we know about this, let's see, 180, well, I can break this up. I know I can pull 9 out of this, right? So it would be 9 times, I believe, 20. All right, so let's start with that. So I know I can get 3 squared out of 9. Let's leave 20 how it is for now. And you get 3 times the square root of 20. But the square root of 20 can be simplified further, because if I rewrite the square root of 20 as a product of 4 and 5, I can do something with 4, right? 4 is 2 squared. So 3 times the square root of 2 squared times the square root of 5. So that's going to give me 3 times 2 times the square root of 5, which gives me a final answer of 6 times the square root of 5. And then what you can do to check your answer is say, well, if I square this, that's 36. If I multiply 36 times 5, that should give me 180, and it does. All right, so here's your solution for this. If you want to look at this for a moment. All right, so thanks for watching. If you need further help on this, you can hit me up, and we'll talk about that.